All right, Anastasia, welcome to episode 201 of the BlockHash podcast. Happy to have you here. How you doing?
Well, Brandon, I'm doing fantastic and very happy to be here. Interestingly enough, I'm actually watching few of your podcasts. So when this opportunity came around, I was very excited.
Oh, very cool. Which ones do you like the most?
Um, to be honest, during the weekends, it's my Sunday activity. I just go through all podcasts that I missed and I just listen to everything just to catch up. So I'm kind of behind, but I'm getting there.
I appreciate it. We have so many guests that come on these days, like sometimes like 4 or 5 in a week. So I'm glad that you enjoy them and that we have some fans on the podcast now too. Anyways, Anastasia, tell me a little bit more about yourself and your background. How did you find yourself getting into this space? Like, what's your story?
So, well, to begin with, I'm Anastasija Plotnikova. I'm a co-founder and head of legal and operations at BlockBank. And how I joined crypto, that was that was actually quite an interesting story because I was working in The Hague, in the Netherlands, and that was, I believe, 2012, and I was working at the European Union law enforcement agencies, and that was the time when we heard about Silk Road and Bitcoin and dark web, and it was so different and exciting. So that was my very first interaction. You would say from the mainstream point, very traditional. Oh, crypto is used for nefarious purposes. But the thing that fascinated me the most was the technology. So I didn't only heard Bitcoin, I read Satoshi's white paper. And being from Eastern Europe and seeing currencies collapse, and for instance, parents' savings burn, I saw the value and basically the financial revolution of digital money and what they can bring. And since then, I just stayed kind of up to date on what's happening. I was a legal counsel at Eurojust. It's one of the European Union law enforcement activities. Then I was an in-house legal in one of the big German firms. And then I slowly but surely completely moved to blockchain and crypto. Worked with Lithuanian regulator. I'm originally from Lithuania in drafting some of the cryptocurrencies laws, working there with our fintech and crypto community. And then I was working for one Canadian publicly traded company where we did integrate blockchain predictive analytics for cannabis efficacy tracing. So it's because blockchain that's the main purpose of blockchain besides financial. So, and now since 2018, we were very busy with BlockBank, building our app, releasing it. So this is how I get familiar with crypto and never left, basically.
Nice. I think we all have interesting stories on how we get into this space. It's cool. One of the things I love about the podcast the most is when I have different people on every single week, you hear some very interesting stories, and they're almost all different. Everyone gets into the space for different reasons, have different motives. What was the reason to start BlockBank? Was there anything in particular that made you guys want to do that, or any kind of motivation?
Um, well, probably you remember as well as we do. Remember the paper wallets and how you used to write everything down, and
Yeah.
then it evolved. And in 2017, I joined a company called Eastlands, and now it's Aave, one of the biggest lending, well, the biggest lending protocol on in the blockchain space. The main purpose of BlockBank is to make crypto easy. So we decided to build something that will look just as your banking app or Robinhood, but for crypto. But then we realized, no, it shouldn't be only for crypto. We should do more. And then we just came up with an idea of all encompassing one app. Because crypto and finances, it's an extension of us. We're sitting on our phones and laptops. So we just decided to build an app that consists of four pillars. So one is very traditional financial and fiat, transfers, top-ups, etc. And then we developed quite an interesting browser. And we released that in 2018, just when the bear market started. So that was just well done for us. But we self-funded. We gathered a lot of feedback from the community. We didn't get any external funding, and we were not looking for it. And then we just started building more and more features. And then we realized the biggest barrier to entry is just lack of education. For us, it's easy. We know how not to get rug pulled. We know how to protect our assets and how to protect our wallets and how to do research. But it's not it won't help an average retail user that would like to own some crypto and do some transactions. So then we developed very convenient web browser. Then we added more features, and now we have 4 internal teams working on robo advisory that will basically allow you to get insights on how things work, why things work, what's happening on the market, because you know very well it's physically almost impossible to stay up to date. And then we see very sad stories what happening to user. So education and very convenient technical implementation is this is where we stand. We want to educate our user, hence robot advisory with a lot of insights and just a proper, good, very convenient tech. And we built it in one app. So with one swipe, you can go from DeFi, where we don't own any of your assets, your keys, your crypto concept, to centralized services where users can just interact in more, I would say, traditional and accustomed way, like they do with their banks. So that was, we wanted to have something that we didn't have in 16, 17, and 18.
How do you go about combining that aspect between DeFi and CeFi, having those decentralized, crypto services, but also maintaining a bit of a centralized side? Is there any issues or hurdles that you had to go through to make that happen?
Oh yes, and our CTO can actually complain quite a bit, but we were not in the rush to build. So we sat, we draw an infrastructure. The main difference, and I would say even hurdle for us, was to develop a really proper user journey, because we give users basically a choice. If you want to stay in DeFi side without any CeFi, it's fair, just do that. But then if you swipe, then you have to go through KYC, because we as a company we are legally responsible and we have different requirements we need to fulfill. And then you just serve in the more secured CeFi side. So this is, but it's a very elegant one swipe. We're very happy when that feature was implemented, tested, and then went into production.
Got it. Are you guys a fully chartered bank in the US, or where is it based?
BlockBank, we are fairly decentralized as well, actually. Plus, due to COVID, it took us a good year until the whole team was able to sit in one place. So our main head of operations, we are in Lithuania, Vilnius, because it's just a fantastic place to build. Pool of talent and very friendly regulator allows us to do and develop really quickly. So we, at the moment, because we wanted to go as fast as possible to market, we are working under sub-licenses of other financial institutions, but we are in the process of getting our own payment institutions. For now, we have license in the Republic of Estonia, we have payments license in Australia, we applied for one in Lithuania, and we're just slowly but surely getting there.
Got it. Who can use this? Who can sign up for it? Is this available globally to anybody or certain jurisdictions, or where has this been rolled out to?
So for now, we're available everywhere, excluding North America, but that is actually being fixed right now, because all management team is in Canada and US, just finalizing and getting for North American launch as well. Because you know very well, North America is unforgiving and very difficult. So
Sure.
we want to do everything right very first time. But we expect that Q1 will be able to onboard Canadian and American users.
What about in South America? Like, for example, I live in Colombia right now, and there's a huge need for something like this where you have access to crypto, but able to spend your crypto still, to maybe do deposits and withdrawals and have different onboarding methods, on ramps, off ramps. Are you in South America at all as well, or where in total are you guys?
So thank you that you mentioned South America. That was my another next, because we're going global and we're going in stages, because the
Okay.
team is still fairly small. But just 2 weeks ago, we received our wallet and cryptocurrency exchange license from El Salvador, and we do have a small office and presence there. So we are building and redesigning application for South America. And at the moment, we're working with our partners just to launch not only cards, but also fiat on-ramps and off-ramps. Hopefully, fingers crossed, end of January, beginning of February, we'll do that. South America is, first of all, it's a very big market, and it's still very underserved market. And you know very well the fees, just the horrible fees that people are paying just for online purchases and additional taxes that are totally unnecessary. So, but we're trying to do, for now, we secured Europe. We know everything's working for Australian users. And then when that's done, and so we're proceeding to more jurisdictions.
Yeah, I always find that the biggest issue with these projects is getting banks to work with you so that you can like link a bank account or allow deposits and withdrawals. Is that the most common onboarding method into BlockBank, or what are your onboarding methods?
So there are few aspects. Some of the users, and I would say based on our stats, maybe 10 to 15%, depending on the month, they do not touch fiat at all. They're just not interested. They deposit their stables, they use them, and then they exit them, even on the CFI side, for instance. But for more retail users and let's say new buyers, new entrants to the space, yes, usually you will top up your account through credit cards or just a wire, etc. And yes, just the onboarding process with those financial institutions usually is very complex. And but we just took it as a challenge. We developed proper internal AML and monitoring policies, including on-chain analytics, and we got onboarded. It's not easy, but this is what we have to do. It's a struggle because the amount of compliance we have to go through is this much bigger than any other project or just any other industry. But it's I think we will change their vision and how they see cryptocurrency only if we comply, and we just show it's just a technology. There is nothing extraordinary, or there are no really additional risks.
How can people spend their money? I saw you guys had a card. Is it usable at like ATMs and stuff like that, or what? Where is it available? Is it through Visa or MasterCard?
Yes, so at the moment we're finalizing the issuance of the cards.
Okay.
And it will be again available per jurisdiction. First of all, we're going to launch European Union and Australia, then as I mentioned, South America, and then Canada and US. So it did take us a bit longer than expected, but with the COVID and just different aspects, again, we wanted to make it right, and we didn't want to issue our users the cards with a horrendous fee. So we're really looking for our provider just to get a better deal for our users.
Are there going to be fees on the cards, or are they going to be feeless?
Most of them will be feeless, and again, because we have our own token, BBank, it will allow you some discounts and just general usage within the app, just to reduce some fees. Some fees, unfortunately, are necessary just to make sure that we work, because we have to bring volume also to the providers on the back end. But we're trying to keep them as minimal as possible.
Have you considered working with like payment processors like PayPal and stuff like that, maybe to do withdrawals? Because I know that they're getting into crypto as well. Any possible future integrations there?
Well, as soon as PayPal will actually start implementing that, then we'll definitely do that. But with the bigger companies, they declare something on Twitter and stock goes up, and then it takes them half a year to actually enable that feature. But yes, it's all major traditional digital wallets, they're on our radar, because you have to be able to spend it just like you spend in your normal banking or any financial app. So this is our goal, and but because we built everything from the ground up, and we did it in a very modular way. So if something becomes available, we can just plug it in. And if we're not happy with something, we can just disable that feature or then just block a tech.
Got it. I also saw that you guys are focusing a lot on staking as well, and you guys are doing like a 24% APY, as high as 30% APY, staking your guys' token. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So we do want to incentivize our users to stay with the app and use the app, as well as to bring additional utility to the token. And we are using different asset management techniques in order to provide those APYs. And the highest percentage is available for tier 5 of our token holders. And those are bigger whales and bigger supporters that really do believe in us. Because in order to get that, they have to lock their tokens for a very significant amount of time. It's 184 days. So it allows us to see some just positive movement on the app, basically downloads, because in order to do that, you have to download the app. So we're trying to increase adoption through financial incentives, basically.
Got it. What's the utility of the token?
Due to the fact that app consists of different pillars, there is a feature basically for everyone. So app will be an actual utility app. You would like to get a really detailed uh, insights from robo-advisory, then if you have certain amount of tokens, you will get it for free. So same with the spending, same with different cashbacks and rewards. We're integrating with quite few partners, both in the CFI and DeFi space, and that will allow us, for instance, when we integrate decentralized insurance, our token holders will be able to get a discount on those fees, etc.
Got it. I also notice you guys have a lending and borrowing feature as well. Are they able to do that through stable coins in the wallet or directly through BlockBank or through the token, or how does that work as well?
So at the moment, the lending and borrowing that is available is through the that browser, very seamless integrations to the lending and borrowing protocols. So this is what we have right now. What we do intend to release? Well, everything will depend on how soon our regulator will issue us a license. Hopefully, it will become soon because we applied already some time ago, and then we'll enable lending through our token as well as some stables. And then we're being conservative in releasing the features because not only we want to make sure that everything works financially, like meaning financial models, but also want to make sure that users A want it and B we tested it enough. So sometimes certain things take longer, but when we release something, everything goes through a third-party audit as well. So it's a kind of arduous process, but we're not going to change that. But those staking, lending, and borrowing is coming as well.
Got it. Let me ask you a much bigger picture question outside of just BlockBank. What do you think the future of banking is going to look like? You know, now that we have crypto a bit more mainstream now, solutions like this with BlockBank that can combine DeFi and CeFi and do all these things and offer all these products and financial services. How do you see, you know, the future of banking kind of evolving?
Well, I think slowly but surely, banks they do realize that for now only their biggest clients, but they do want to hold some digital assets, and they do listen to what their biggest clients are saying, and then it will be just a cascade of adoption. I remember in 2017 it was almost impossible even to open a bank account for crypto companies. So
Very
they see
difficult. Yeah.
but banks, they're not charity organizations. If volume is big enough, they will change their policies and they will be onboarding. But from even bigger picture, I see the banks, they'll be buying successful startups or startups with the technology they're interested in. They like to say, oh, we have a legacy technology, which means it's very old. So for them, it won't make sense to develop their own. I think they'll be just buying very promising technology startups, acquiring that IP, and just implementing it. And you can see amount of publicly traded companies that are kind of trying to touch or play with DeFi, which even a year ago wasn't heard of. It's not a very traditional Bitcoin ETF or ETH ETF. It's something very different that's saying this is your access to DeFi, and retail investors just all jump in. So we see that the process has started. And a lot of, to be honest, even on-chain analytics and just different hedge fund reports, they say that 2022, we're not going to stop. Adoption is only growing, especially well, when money printers just went completely brrr.
Do you think a lot of these banks, you know, that are, you know, exploring this stuff and crypto and digital assets and DeFi, mostly because they feel they might become irrelevant or insolvent at some point, given the fact that everything's gone digital and has gone towards blockchain? It feels like that, you know, could potentially be the direction. And you got large corporations like Facebook and Amazon and that are very capable of taking over banking, at least on a smaller level, and that have in a lot of ways in terms of payments and remittance. Do you think maybe that they're kind of at threat as well of maybe disappearing or becoming irrelevant?
I think I do agree with you, but I think the biggest threat is very large monopoly companies. As you mentioned, Google Pay, Apple Pay. How do they do that? Well, because they have certain financial payment licenses and they can process those transactions. And it's very convenient, and hence this is why we use it. With the banks, I think with governmental digital currencies, they're coming. They're coming, if not in 2 years, in 5 or 7 years. So I don't think they will become irrelevant. simply because they have so much funding and resources that they can survive. But what I do believe that with a new generation of users like us and younger, they will have to adjust and adapt. And I think that adjustment is going to be something quite pleasant as long as the overall industry will develop and they will have a good competition. Because why are they even starting to improve their applications and web services? Simply because users like us demanded it. So as long as there is a user demand, I see a bright future for the industry. Regarding banking, they're so well funded and they're so old. And now you know that we can just completely operate even in the DeFi way. We can borrow, we can lend, we can stake, we can go through OTC brokers, etc. So technically, if you are real hardcore crypto guy or girl, you don't need them. You can completely operate in this side of the world with a good accountant that will help you with your taxes, and you don't need banks.
Yeah, I think banks will evolve. I'd be a little afraid if I was a bank, running on tech from the 80s and 90s still, which is kind of crazy. Then now wanting to make the leap into blockchain and crypto and DeFi, I'd be a little concerned if I were them. And then on top of that, if you have central banks or the Federal Reserve putting out like digital dollars, CBDCs, which seems to be the trend now, then, they're really kind of being pushed to the edge here to do something. So I think we'll see a very quick change probably really soon.
I think we'll see change. I don't think it will be quick. They're simply too big. There's simply too big amount of people and lack of innovation that is within the banks. Because if you are very bright young mind, would you go to work for the bank or you will go to work for some crypto or fintech projects? Because salaries at the moment are very compatible. So would you like to be all suited up and going to your office, or would you like to be working with your teammates in the cool office doing something good? So they just recently I was reading some reports on how banks are also struggling to hire. Now all of us are competing for talents, but banks are struggling especially because what they can do, they can just increase salaries. But salary is not everything. I don't think they'll have enough talent pool, to be honest, to make transition quickly.
Yeah, their market share is going to diminish very, very quickly if they don't evolve. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of years with them.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyways, before we wrap up, tell me what your guys' roadmap looks like going into 2022. What are some things that you're most excited about with BlockBank and things that you guys are going to be launching or implementing, or maybe it's new jurisdictions, maybe it's the card, maybe it's new features. What's exciting for you guys?
So I'm very excited about our robo advisory because now we're in the stage of testing and basically teaching our little robo advisor, who sometimes still does quite hilarious mistakes, to be honest. But amount of data that we're accumulating and then putting into data lake and analyzing and processing, our machine learning engineers are building models on how to improve it. And we will see actual results in the Q1 of 2022. And this is actually something that person that never heard of crypto, or what is that? Oh, is that Bitcoin? Who uses that? And there are still millions of those people. Will take it, will just navigate with the robo advisor like they do with Siri. This is our goal, to make it as easy as that. When it comes to other features, we have a dedicated internal team that is working on different integrations with projects such as Elrond and Chainlink, as well as a lot of DeFi projects that we're partnered with. So we want to become Expedia of crypto. This is our goal. So everything, it's a big aggregator of all financial services, everything you need just in one app. And when we launch all those features, I think then we'll be very excited. So I'm looking forward to 2022.
It sounds like a very large undertaking, but it also sounds very exciting. So wishing the best for you guys.
Thank you so much.
Anyways, where can people go to sign up, learn more, maybe open an account or kind of get started? Where should they go? Just the website, or is there other places?
So I would suggest to go to our website, because there we have a dedicated 24/7 team. And sometimes all of us, even founders, are taking questions. And there you can find everything, all the onboarding, every question. We're there 24/7 to help and to support you.
Perfect. I'll be sure to put links and stuff in the description below for the episode so people can easily find it and get to that info and that stuff and sign up. Anyways, Anastasija, thank you for taking the time to come on today. Really appreciate it. Fun conversation. Learned a lot about what you guys are doing with BlockBank and very excited.
Well, Brandon, it was my pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you next time. Bye.